What if events went differently in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse? What if another villain was the main villain of the movie? What if Spider-Carnage from the original 1994 animated cartoon became Miles Morales' greatest enemy within the film? Imagine if Spider-Carnage had unfinished business with the Spider-Verse. Welcome back, my fellow watchers of the Multiverse, to a brand new Marvel's What If episode. And in today's video, I will be diving into the question, if Spider-Carnage was the main villain. I love Spider-Carnage, and after his defeat by Uncle Ben in the animated series, he teleported, and us viewers were left to wonder what might have happened to this version of the character. And today I'm super hyped to dive into my version of the storyline. That being said, my fellow watchers, are you ready to dive into the multiverse? Let's get into this. After the events which led to the discovery of the Spider-Verse, where Miles Morales heroically destroyed Kingpin's collider, peace finally settled over Brooklyn. The city had been saved from the chaos and the dimensional rifts caused by Kingpin's ambitions. Miles, now a full-fledged Spider-Man, swung through the city with confidence. His brand new red and black suit, a symbol of hope for the citizens. With his newfound experience and the support of his Spider-Verse allies, Miles faced new challenges head-on. He continued to balance his life as a superhero with his studies, family, and friends. Gradually, he established a routine that allowed him to be both an outstanding Spider-Man and a responsible student. In this timeline, Miles' relationship with his father, Jefferson, grew stronger. As Miles revealed that he was Spider-Man, they bonded over their shared secret identities. Jefferson, having come to terms with Miles' new life, often offered advice and encouragement. Their late-night conversations about heroism, responsibility, and the importance of doing what's right became cherished moments of connection. Gwen Stacy's Spider-Woman from another dimension occasionally swung by for team-ups and catching up with Miles. Their friendship deepened, and they often found themselves trading stories about their respective worlds and challenges. As time passed, new villains emerged, testing Miles' abilities and his determination. The lessons he had learned from his journey across dimensions served him well as he faced adversaries with unique powers and cunning strategies. With each victory, his reputation as Spider-Man grew, and he became an inspiration to the younger heroes. The citizens of Brooklyn began to look up to Miles as a local hero, attending events where he spoke about the importance of unity and courage. He was not only a protector, but also a symbol of the potential that resided within each individual, that anybody could wear the mask. Amid all the heroics, Miles remained grounded, still finding time for things he loved. He continued to create his unique brand of street art, blending his passion for creativity with his identity as Spider-Man. His art became a way of leaving his mark on the city, a reminder that even a world of extraordinary powers, simple acts of expression could make a lasting impact. In the time following his victory over Kingpin and the closure of the Collider, Miles Morales found himself grappling with a sense of longing for his Uncle Aaron. Desperate, Aaron's troubled past as the Prowler, and his involvement with Kingpin's plans, Miles couldn't shake the memories of the bond that they had shared. The memories of their shared interests in art, music, and the thrill of adventure tugged at Miles' heart. He often found himself thinking about the lessons Aaron had taught him, the way he guided him through the challenges of becoming Spider-Man. Miles knew his uncle had made mistakes, but he also believed in the good that still existed within him. One night, as he gazed at the city skyline from his bedroom window, Miles entertained a fleeting idea. What if he could find Aaron in another dimension? The concept of the multiverse had become all too real for Miles. Thanks to his experience during the Collider incident, the notion of reuniting with his uncle or at least finding a version of him, began to take hold of his mind. Driven by a mix of hope and determination, Miles started researching the concept of dimensional travel. He pored over scientific papers and consulted various scientists, seeking a way to access different dimensions. But there was no device to bring this dream to fruition, and Miles was left with only one option, which was to keep Uncle Aaron alive in memory. In the aftermath of his triumph over Kingpin and the destruction of the Collider, Miles Morales revealed in the newfound peace that had settled over Brooklyn. The city had been saved, and dimensional rifts had closed, leaving behind a sense of stability that Miles had longed for. With his friends and allies by his side, he continued his duties as Spider-Man, watching over the city with a renewed sense of purpose. Unbeknownst to Miles, however, the events that had unfolded had left an unseen consequence. The destruction of the Collider had not only closed rifts, but it had also created a rupture, a gaping hole in the fabric of the multiverse. This breach allowed a malevolent entity, a creature of darkness and chaos, to slither through the fractures of reality itself. The Abyssal Shadow, an entity that had slipped through the fractures of the multiverse. As the city of Brooklyn was plunged into chaos, Miles discovered that the creature was not just any force. It was a twisted, dark version of Spider-Man, known as Spider-Carnage. In another universe where science and ethics danced on a thin line, the brilliant scientist Miles Warren sought to uncover the secrets of Spider-Man's incredible powers. Consumed by a desire to understand and replicate the Arachnid's abilities that made him Spider-Man, Warren embarked on a risky experiment, the creation of a perfect clone. Driven by his obsession, Warren successfully cloned Spider-Man's DNA, creating a nearly identical copy. However, the clone exhibited slightly differences in his personality and behavior. Believing that the clone was the imperfect one, Warren sought out to kill him, but he escaped from the grasp of the scientist and worked in the shadows under the alias of Ben Reilly. But fate had other plans. Ben Reilly escaped from Warren's grasp, determined to forge his own path. Fleeing from the lab that he had been imprisoned in, he found himself grappling with a new identity and a newfound sense of freedom. Ben Reilly adopted the name Scarlet Spider, combining elements of his own identity with the legacy of Spider-Man, adopting a suit that possessed web shooters and impact webbing. Unbeknownst to Ben Reilly, the original Peter Parker, the hero he believed himself to be, the authentic Spider-Man, had been living his life unaware that he was indeed the clone, and Ben Reilly was the original. Peter Parker found himself grappling with a truth that shattered his sense of self. He had always believed himself to be the one and only Spider-Man, but the revelation that he was actually the clone rocked his very foundation. As the weight of this revelation settled upon Peter's shoulders, he struggled to come to terms with the implications of his identity. Every memory, every experience he had ever cherished now felt like a mirage. The core of his being seemed to unravel as he questioned the authenticity of his relationships, his purpose, and even his heroism. As the truth about their origins became known to them, a rift formed between Peter Parker and Ben Reilly. The discovery had unearthed a darkness within Peter, a jealousy and desperation that gnawed at his soul. Unable to accept the reality that he was not the true Spider-Man, Peter became consumed by a determination to prove his worth by any means necessary. Peter's descent into darkness led him down a treacherous path. He hunted Ben Reilly with the relentlessness determination, seeking to eliminate the original Spider-Man and reclaim his identity. The city they had been sworn to protect became a battleground as they clashed in a fierce and emotional-charged battle. Ben Reilly in the end gained the help of other versions of Spider-Man across the Spider-Verse. After a long and grueling battle, Spider-Carnage was confronted by Uncle Ben. Ben tried to reason with Peter, but Peter felt that he was far too gone. So he decided to use the teleporter and tried to kill himself, but that never happened. As the interdimensional portal closed behind him, Spider-Carnage found himself in a universe different from any he had ever known. This new world was unfamiliar, but it was a realm ripe for chaos, and that suited his twisted desires perfectly. Miles Morales' universe, once a haven of peace, was about to face a threat unlike anything it had ever seen before. Spider-Carnage, now a malevolent fusion of the Carnage symbiote, and Peter Parker had a single goal: to sow chaos and destruction. It didn't take long for Spider-Carnage to make his presence known. His arrival in this universe was marked by a series of brutal and seemingly random attacks on the city of Brooklyn. As each moment passed, the Carnage symbiote fully corrupted Peter Parker's mind. Buildings trembled, and the streets ran red as his monstrous tendrils lashed out. Panic spread like wildfire among the citizens as they witnessed a new kind of terror, one that embodied the worst aspects of their beloved Spider-Man. Miles Morales, the true Spider-Man of this universe, swung into action as soon as he got wind of the chaos. He couldn't stand by while his city suffered, and he was determined to confront this intruder. But when he arrived at the scene of the carnage, he was met not just by a formidable adversary, but by a creature fueled by an overwhelming rage and darkness. The battle between Miles and Spider-Carnage was a cataclysmic clash of power. Miles' unique abilities and determination were pitted against the raw strength of the Carnage symbiote, enhanced Peter Parker. Their fight raged across the cityscape, causing even more devastation in its wake, as Miles tried to battle his foe and control the collateral damage. Spider-Carnage's attacks were relentless and unpredictable. He seemed to revel in the chaos, his laughter echoing through the streets as he inflicted terror upon the citizens of Brooklyn. It became clear that stopping him would require more than just physical strength. It would demand unwavering resolution and a deep understanding of the symbiote's vulnerabilities. Miles, guided by a sense of his responsibility and the lessons he had learned as Spider-Man, sought a way to sever the bond between Peter and the Carnage symbiote. He knew the key to victory may not just be in defeating his opponent, but saving Peter from the darkness that had consumed him. Amidst the chaos that Spider-Carnage had unleashed upon Miles Morales' universe, the young Spider-Man knew that he had to try every avenue to stop the rampage. Miles had always believed in the power of compassion and the potential for redemption, and he hoped that he could reach the human side buried beneath the symbiote's darkness. With determination burning in his eyes, Miles confronted Spider-Carnage in the heart of the devastated city. His voice, laced with empathy, carried over the sounds of destruction, as he tried to appeal to the humanity he knew still resided within Peter Parker. "Peter, I know you're in there," Miles called out. His words carried on the wind. "Remember the hero you once were. You can fight this. You can choose to be better." For a moment, it seemed as there was a glimmer of recognition in Spider-Carnage's eyes. The creature hesitated, its relentless assault momentarily faltering. Miles saw this as an opportunity, a chance to break through the symbiote's grip and help Peter regain control. But before Miles could make another move, Spider-Carnage's expression twisted with anger and defiance. A growl escaped its monstrous form and its tendrils lashed out with renewed ferocity. The words Miles had spoken seemed to fall on deaf ears, drowned out by the overwhelming rage that fueled the symbiote's power. Miles attempted to reason with Spider-Carnage, but he was met with violence. The creature's attacks grew more savage, its tendrils striking with bleeding speeds and bone-crushing force. Miles fought back with every ounce of strength he had, utilizing his unique abilities to evade and counter the onslaught. But the more he tried to reason, the more angry and more powerful Spider-Carnage became. As the battle continued, Miles realized that appealing to the symbiote's host was proving to be an uphill battle. The darkness that had consumed Peter's humanity seemed to be giving an unyielding grip. The symbiote's influence was too strong, drowning out any remnants of the man who once was a hero. Despite his best efforts, Miles found himself being overwhelmed by the sheer force and brutality of Spider-Carnage's attacks. He felt the weight of each blow, the pain radiating through his body. The realization began to settle in. No matter how strong his belief in redemption, no matter how much he wanted to save Peter, the odds were against him. The battle reached its peak, a clash of wills and power that shook the very foundations of the city. Miles fought with an indomitable spirit, driven by a determination to protect the innocent and uphold the ideals of heroism. But as Spider-Carnage's onslaught continued, it became clear that reason and empathy alone might not be enough to save Peter from the darkness that consumed him. As the battle raged on, the fate of the city hung in the balance, and Miles Morales faced a painful truth. Sometimes even the strongest bonds of humanity and compassion could be shattered by the relentless force of darkness and rage. In the midst of the destruction between Miles Morales and Spider-Carnage, the city of Brooklyn stood as a war zone. The once vibrant streets were now marked by devastation, and the cries of terrored citizens echoed through the chaos. Miles fought with every ounce of his strength, determined to protect his city and the people he cared about. However, the power of Spider-Carnage was overwhelming. With each brutal blow, the symbiote-enhanced Peter Parker displayed an unholy amount of strength that seemed to have no limits. Miles, despite his incredible abilities and his Venom Blast, found himself outmatched and outclassed. The relentless assault of Spider-Carnage left Miles battered and bruised, his suit torn and his body aching. Every attempt to reason with the creature had fallen on deaf ears, and the anger that fueled Spider-Carnage's attacks seemed to grow with each passing moment. Miles struggled to stand as Spider-Carnage approached, a grin on the monster's face. Its tendrils coiled around him, lifting him off the ground and leaving him at its mercy. Miles looked into the eyes of the creature, searching for any hint of Peter Parker, who was once a heroic figure. "I know you're in there," Miles gasped, his voice strained from the pain. "Peter, fight this. You're stronger than this." Spider-Carnage's response was a sadistic laugh, a chilling sound that sent shivers down Miles' spine. The creature's grip tightened and it drew Miles closer, its red eyes glaring with malice. A cruel smile played on its lips as it spoke in a distorted, echoing voice. "Oh, I'm here," Spider-Carnage hissed, "but the Peter Parker you knew is long gone. This power, this chaos, it's who I am now. You're just a fly, caught in my web." With a sickening thud, Spider-Carnage hurled Miles into a nearby building, the impact sending shockwaves through his body. Miles struggled to get up, pain radiating through every fiber of his being. He knew that he couldn't give up, not when the city was counting on him. But Spider-Carnage wasn't finished. It advanced on Miles with an eerie grace, its tendrils ready to strike once more. Each blow it delivered seemed calculated to the maximum pain and suffering, a twisted dance, a brutality. Miles fought back with everything he had left, his determination fueled by his desire to protect his city and the people that he loved. The creature's sadistic pleasure in the violence and destruction was plausible, its intent clear: to make Miles suffer. Before delivering the final blow, Miles struggled to his feet, his body broken, but his spirit unbroken. He stared defiant at Spider-Carnage, his voice filled with raw determination. "You won't break me." He spat out blood dripping from his lip. "I'll keep fighting no matter what." Spider-Carnage's laugh echoed through the desolate streets, a chilling sound that seemed to reverberate with the darkness that consumed it. It raised its tendrils, preparing to kill once again. "Oh, I have no intentions of breaking you just yet," it sneered. "I want you to watch as Brooklyn falls, as hope crumbles to dust, and then when the city is nothing but ruins, I'll finally put an end to your pitiful resistance." Miles braced himself, refusing to give into his despair. He knew that the city's fate rested on his shoulders, and even in the face of overwhelming odds, he was determined to protect it. With a deep breath, he readied himself for another round of battles, his resolve unshaken, even as the shadow of Spider-Carnage loomed large over him. With this colossal adversary retreated into the shadows, and Miles Morales' legs grew fatigued as he fell to the ground. After the devastating battle with Spider-Carnage that had left the city of Brooklyn in ruins, Miles Morales found himself waking up in a hospital bed, his body battered and broken. As he slowly regained consciousness, he struggled to piece together the events that had led him to this point. The memories of his fight with Spider-Carnage and the chaos that had ensued were like fragments, pieces of a nightmare. As his vision cleared, Miles was surprised to find himself not alone. Standing at his bedside were two individuals who seemed both familiar but foreign at the same time. The first man was a man with a futuristic look about him, his attire and demeanor suggesting that he was not from Miles's world. The second was a woman with striking blonde hair, her expression a mix of concern and determination. "Miles, you're awake," the woman spoke softly, her voice carrying a sense of relief. "Take it easy now. You've been through a lot." Miles struggled to sit up, wincing as pain radiated through his body. Who are you guys?" The man stepped forward, a reassuring smile on his face. "I'm Miguel O'Hara, but you can call me Miguel." Miles immediately recognized Gwen Stacy beside Miguel. Miles blinked in confusion, his mind racing as he tried to process the information. "Miguel O'Hara? Are you from another universe?" Gwen nodded. "That's right, Miles. We're from a different reality. We came here to help." Miguel continued. "We've seen the havoc that Spider-Carnage had caused all across the Spider-Verse, and now it's in your world. It's a threat that extends beyond just your city. We're here to stop him and restore the balance." Miles listened, his heart beginning to race with a mixture of hope and curiosity. The idea of helping from another universe was both overwhelming and reassuring. "We've faced Spider-Carnage before," Miguel explained. "We know how dangerous he could be, but we also know that there's always a way to stop him." Gwen added, "Miles, you're not alone in this. We're here to support you, to help you reclaim your city and put an end to this madness." Miles looked at Gwen and Miguel, their determination mirrored in his own eyes. He remembered the devastation that he witnessed, the pain he had felt as Spider-Carnage wreaked havoc across the city, and he realized that he couldn't do it alone. I want to help," Miles said, his voice filled with newfound resolve. "I want to stop Spider-Carnage and save the universe." Miguel nodded. "Good. Well, we'll work together, use our combined strengths to bring an end to this threat." Gwen gave Miles a warm hug. "Welcome to the team, Miles." Miles held her tightly, a sense of purpose lighting within him. As he looked between Miguel and Gwen, he knew that they were the allies he needed to confront the darkness that had consumed his universe. Together across the boundaries of different universes, Miles Morales, Miguel O'Hara, and Gwen formed an unbreakable bond, a force to be reckoned with the determination they were going to stop the threat of Spider-Carnage and restore the balance, and they embarked on a journey that would test their courage, strength, and the very essence of heroism itself. The night was shrouded in darkness, mirroring the grim atmosphere that had enveloped the city of Brooklyn. Spider-Carnage stood before a towering power plant, tendrils of the symbiote shaking around the massive destruction. With every motion, the plant twitched with sparks, its vital machinery threatened by the creature's powers. Miles Morales, Gwen Stacy, and Miguel O'Hara stood united, facing the monstrous threat that had wreaked havoc upon their universe. Miguel told Miles that if they didn't destroy Spider-Carnage now, that the entire multiverse could be destroyed. Their determination was unwavering, their eyes locked on the creature that had once been an ally in the Spider-Verse. They had seen the destruction that Spider-Carnage had thwarted, and they were determined to put an end to it once and for all. "Listen to me, Peter," Miles called out, his voice carrying a mixture of urgency and hope. "You can fight the darkness. We know that you're still in there." Spider-Carnage's response was a chilling one, distorting laugh that echoed through the night. Its tendrils lashed out, striking the power plant with a force that sent shockwaves through the ground. Sparks danced in the air as cables snapped, and the structure began to crumble. Gwen stepped forward, her voice unwavering. "Peter, remember who you are. Remember the hero that you used to be." Spider-Carnage's eyes glowed with an eerie light as it turned to face Gwen. Its tendrils shot out like arrows, only to be deftly evaded by her quick reflexes. She swung through the air with grace, her movements a dance of agility and determination. Miguel's voice crackled through the air as he activated his futuristic gadgets. "We're not here to fight you, Peter. We're here to save you. Let us help." Miles, fueled by a determination to reach the human side of Spider-Carnage, swung into action. His attacks were calculated and precise, with each move designed to weaken the symbiote's hold on Peter. But with every blow he landed, he could feel the symbiote's power growing stronger, its rage intensifying. As the battle raged on, the power plant stood on the brink of destruction. Spider-Carnage's attacks were relentless, and it seemed that every blow was aimed, not just at the hero, but at the very heart of the city itself. The destruction was spreading like wildfire, threatening to plunge Brooklyn into darkness. Gwen's voice crackled through the devices. "We have to stop him before he destroys the power plant. If he succeeds, the entire city will be plunged into chaos." With a renewed sense of purpose, the three heroes redoubled their efforts. They fought with every ounce of strength, and their attacks were calculated. Miguel's gadgets unleashed a barrage of energy, while Gwen's agility and web shooters kept Spider-Carnage off balance. But despite their efforts, Spider-Carnage's power was too much. Its attacks were relentless, its laughter echoing through the chaos like a taunt. The power plant's destruction loomed, a grim reminder of the stakes that they were facing. Miles refused to give up. Drawing on his unique abilities, he unleashed a powerful shockwave that sent Spider-Carnage reeling. In the brief moment of vulnerability, Gwen and Miguel launched a coordinated assault, targeting the symbiote's tendrils and attempting to weaken its grip on Peter. But even the combined power of Miguel's technology and Gwen's moves and Miles' resilience was no match for Spider-Carnage. As the battle between Miles, Gwen, and Miguel and Spider-Carnage raged on, the power plant's destruction seemed inevitable. The looming catastrophe casted a shadow over the heroes, efforts pushing them to the brink of despair. But in the midst of the chaos, a glimmering hope emerged from an unexpected source: the power plant itself. As Spider-Carnage continued to assault the power plant, its tendrils shaking around the metal structure, a transformation was taking place. The intense vibrations and energy emitted by the plant's machinery had a profound effect on the Carnage symbiote. The metals within the power plant resonated with the frequency that echoed through the air, creating a shrieking barrage of sound energy. The sound waves, though distorting, had an unintentional consequence. The vibrations clashed with the symbiote's own energy, disrupting its hold on Peter Parker. For a moment, Spider-Carnage's grip faltered, its form flickering as it caught in the midst of a struggle. Miles and the others recognized the opportunity immediately. They redoubled their efforts, coordinating their attacks to take advantage of the symbiote's weakened state. Miguel's gadgets bursted of sonic energy, while Gwen's web shooters emitted high-pitched frequencies. Miles himself used his abilities to generate electrical energy that resonated with the power plant's energies. As the sound energy intensified, Spider-Carnage's form began to tremble, tendrils thrashing in an attempt to shake off the assault. The shrieking barrage of sound waves seemed to be working, slowly but surely weakening the symbiote's hold on Peter. Finally, the symbiote's grip on Peter shattered, and Peter was rescued, and the city was saved from that monstrosity. Peter managed a weak smile, his voice filled with emotion. "I don't know what to say," he said, and they all watched as the sun began to rise over the city of Brooklyn. The heroes knew that their journey was far from over, but in that moment they stood as a symbol of resilience, unity, and spirit of heroism. The power of sound and the strength of their bond had triumphed over darkness, reminding them that no matter how dire the circumstances are, there's always a choice, even if it's a greater choice for the greater good. Miles Morales learned that as he gave Peter a hand, and everybody walked in the sunset, leaving the Carnage symbiote to die. As Peter would be redeemed, he would become a new version of Spider-Man within Miles' universe. And while on the other side of things, Miles Morales would soon see another ally and another friend who would come to this universe, in the form of Spider-Man from the 1994 universe. As the sun began to rise over the city of Brooklyn, the heroes knew that their journey was far from over. But in that moment, they stood as a symbol of resilience. The power of sound and the strength of their bond had triumphed over darkness, reminding them that no matter how dire the circumstances, there is always going to be a choice to be better than anything, to be the greater good, to choose the better choice. With the symbiote's grip shattered, Peter stumbled forward, weak but determined. The portal to other universes were still opened, its swirling vortex of energy beaconing. He knew what he had to do. With a nod to his fellow heroes, he rushed towards the portal. As he entered the chaotic rift between dimensions, time and space seemed to wrap around him. Peter could feel the symbiote's presence crawling at his mind, trying to pull him back, but he fought back with every ounce of his being. His memories of Uncle Ben and the guilt he carried serving as an anchor. In the midst of the swirling chaos, Peter caught a glimpse of a familiar alleyway, dimly lit, and a sense of déjà vu washed over him. He knew that he was close. With one final surge of willpower, he pushed through the vortex, emerging on the other side. Peter found himself in a universe where Uncle Ben was still alive, and he was just an ordinary teenager once more. He looked around, tears in his eyes as he realized that he had become full circle. The weight of the symbiote was now gone, replaced by a profound sense of relief and redemption. Back on the other side of the portal, Miles and the others watched as Peter disappeared into the swirling rift. For them, it seemed to be mere seconds, but for Peter, it had been a journey through time, space, and the depths of his own soul. Miles turned to Gwen and Miguel, and the others, a bittersweet smile on his face. "He did it," he said. his voice filled with awe and respect. He found his way back to a universe where Uncle Ben is alive. They all nodded slightly, acknowledging the sacrifice Peter had made to ensure the symbiote's destruction and his own redemption. Meanwhile, in the alternate universe, Peter stood in that dimly lit alleyway, feeling the warmth of the sun on his face. He knew that he had been given a second chance, a chance to make amends and be the hero that he was meant to be. As he walked down the familiar streets of his hometown, he couldn't help himself but smile, knowing that he finally found a way home. And that is going to be what if Spider-Carnage was in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now, it's a very shorter, condensed storyline. It doesn't go over, the Spider Society. I should have added that into the storyline, but I really wanted it to, focus on Spider-Carnage's storyline and where he went after the events of Spider-Man the Animated Series. And I think this would have been very interesting to just see Spider-Carnage come in and just absolutely wreak chaos. And it really showcased that, heroes aren't just about, saving people. It's about, having the motivation to keep others motivated in a way. Like Spider-Carnage was, motivated to destroy and create chaos in the universe. And I think Miles Morales, showed him a different path near the end. And I think that would have been a really weird but strange encounter, especially if Uncle Ben couldn't get to Spider-Carnage. That would have been a completely different story. And that's a what if that I will be doing. It's actually one of the animated ones that I've been trying to get done for quite a while. And it's, what if Spider-Carnage was fully consumed, and I think that's a different one. But that being said, my fellow watchers of the Multiverse, thank you so much for tuning in today's Marvel's What If episode. I do know that a lot of people are asking me when What If Marvel Zombies Invaded the Spider Society Part 3 is coming out, and I do want to say that I will be having that video coming soon. I've been doing so many different videos, I cannot wait to get back into this, but it really means a lot. So that being said, do make sure to subscribe, like, share, and turn those notifications on so you and your friends are all up to date with the latest content. But that being said, my fellow watchers, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, and have a wonderful day. Peace out.